Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio, so today I am showing you a new Dedenne card, which could actually be really interesting. Now, this is especially interesting because it's only been a little while since we had a look at the last interesting Dedenne card. There is a Dedenne coming in Sun and Moon 6, which is very interesting. For a double colourless energy, it does 60 damage if you've got a lightning Pokemon on the bench. And we all know that Tapu Koko fits into most decks very nicely indeed. And then, of course, with a choice band, that'll KO something like a Dialga. And I said, you know what? This Dedenne is very interesting, and we need to give it a little bit of a chance. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in these Gym Challenge tournaments that are going on in Japan in the near future, another Dedenne is coming. And this one is also kind of interesting and could have its uses. Now, of course, it is a lightning Pokemon, and being a basic, it does mean it can use Ether Paradise Conservation Area to reduce damage done by 30. Then, of course, we've got the obligatory Fighting Fury bout here, but let's be honest about this. Dedenne, it's not a tank. It's not in here to be used as a tank. It's in here for a different reason altogether. I mean, it's only got 70 HP, for goodness sake. That's not great. The one thing I will say about the HP, Buzzwole here will not get a KO with Jet Punch unless they amplify the damage in some way. So Strong Energy and they get a KO, Regirock and they get a KO, etc. But the important thing is they don't get a KO right off the bat, although the fighting weakness is a pain because let's face it, it's really not going to take much for Buzzwole to get a KO here. Resistance to Metal is always good. It's not always going to do a huge amount because you got 70 HP, but resistance is almost always good. And as for the retreat cost, it's 1, which is low, and as both the attacks are for a single energy, this is pretty nice. Now, the first attack here is one with which we should be quite familiar at the moment. It's Nuzzle. 1 lightning energy. Flip a coin if heads, a defending Pokemon is now paralyzed. We've seen this on Pikachu, and we've seen this on Pachirisu, and we've seen it on Emolga. I.e., all the little rodent-y things. Fun fact, their names are not changed when they are coming over from Japan. The names are the same in Japanese and in English, and they all tend to have Nuzzle. Now, didn't used to be terribly exciting, to be perfectly honest, ladies and gentlemen, until Ultra Prism came out with Pachirisu that, as well as Nuzzle, had the awesomely named Snuggly Generator. For each of your bench Pokemon that has Nuzzle, search your deck for a lightning energy and attach it to that Pokemon. It's a way to get lots of energy into play very quickly indeed, and then of course, you use it with Raichu GX, because Raichu GX does 20 damage plus 20 more for each lightning energy you've got on the field. And there is a Pikachu that has Nuzzle, which can evolve into the Raichu. It's a bit of a deck. I did a video about this deck the other day. It did get a top 32 finish at Collinsville a couple of weeks ago, and there were over 1,000 people in that tournament. It's a legit deck. So now all of a sudden we have another Pokemon that has Nuzzle that we can use for Snuggly Generator. Of course, we do need to ask the question at this stage, do we really need another Pokemon with a Nuzzle attack? We've already got 4 Pachirisu. You would imagine you're playing 4 Pachirisu so you can increase your odds of getting a turn 1 Snuggly Generator. And we've already got 4 Pikachu. We assume you're playing a 4-4 Raichu line because that's your main attacker. And you've only got 6 Pokemon that can be in play at one time. And let's face it, a lot of games you're going to have to use something like a Tapu Lele, either for your turn 1 Bridget, or to grab something like a Cynthia. To be perfectly blunt, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure you often need another Nuzzle Pokemon. Now, don't get me wrong, Dedenne is adorable. Actually, I should mention before I go any further, before I forget, this was tweeted at me and translated by the lovely Antoine Boulay, who, as you should all know by now, is a lovely man. So, I'm not sure we need Dedenne. Adorable, yes, but as a Nuzzler, We got Pachirisu, who's got Snuggly Generator. We've got Pikachu that evolves into Raichu. The one exception to this, of course, is if you go into Expanded and drop a Skyfield, then all of a sudden you can have 8 bench Pokemon, 9 Pokemon in total, and bearing in mind you might have a Pikachu or a Pachirisu prize as well, now we will need more than 8 Nuzzlers. And in a world where we need more than 8 Nuzzlers, Dedenne comes in nice and handy indeed as another Pokemon that we can use Snuggly Generator on. Of course, then you get into all kinds of questions of what if your opponent plays a Field Blower to get rid of the Sky Field, then you've got to discard Pokemon with the energy attached and blah blah blah. Let's ignore all of that for the moment. If you're using Sky Field, it's another Snuggly Generator. But the other attack here is even better. It is for a single lightning energy. Now, Antoine Boulay has translated it as Team Nuzzle, which is absolutely adorable. Although I am hearing rumours that the translators over at Poke Beach have translated it as Snuggly Bomb. Either way, it's an adorable attack name no matter which of the two we go for. And it's actually a really good attack. 1 lightning energy, this Pokemon does 10 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each Pokemon with Nuzzle you have in play. Although the wording of this is kind of hard to figure out. I'm sure I'll have fixed it by the time I write it up on the screen here. You've got 6 Nuzzlers in play. You can do 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now do remember that this Pokemon, this Dedenne, has Nuzzle as an attack, so will add 10 damage. And the thing is here, this is very close to being good. Because if you've got 6 Nuzzlers in play, I've adopted Nuzzlers as a term now, it's sticking, then you're doing 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Routes, instant KO. Zorua, instant KO. Beldum, instant KO. There's a lot of Pokemon here that are going to be KO'd straight away by you using this attack, which is great. And actually, bit of a side note here, if you go into the expanded format and you actually use this with a wide lens so that you are hitting weakness on the bench, then if you've got 6 Nuzzlers out, you can actually get a KO on a bench Shaymin EX with a single energy Dedenne, which is pretty sweet. The problem I have here is this. Most of the time, you're not going to have 6 Nuzzlers in play. Now, in a perfect game, the only Pokemon you'll be benching are going to be Dedenne, Pikachu, and Pachirisu, all of which have the Nuzzle attack. But like I mentioned earlier, in most games you have to go and drop yourself a Tapu Lele. And as soon as you drop a Tapu Lele onto the bench, now you can only have 5 Nuzzlers. It's not the end of the world. Mew from Fates Collide is a good Pokemon that has 50 HP. There's plenty of Pokemon out there that have got 50 HP, but they are much, much less common. And that really is the problem here, ladies and gentlemen, because you're in this awkward situation where you have got a really good attack here that can hit the bench for a really relevant number, and most of the time you're not going to be able to hit that number. Now again, time we go into expanded, use Skyfield, then you can be hitting 70 damage to the bench, KOing something like a Trubbish, which is great. I think this fits in the expanded format a lot more because you can use stuff like Skyfield, and then even if your opponent gets rid of Skyfield, you just discard the Tapu Lele off your bench, you've still got 6 Nuzzlers in play. But Raichu is only really seeing play at the moment in the standard format, not the expanded. I like this card. Having extra Nuzzlers is good, although I'm not sure you need them in a world without Skyfield. And this second attack is good, but I'm just not 100% convinced you're going to be able to always have 6 Nuzzlers in play to really make the use of this. And that's where we fall on this Dedenne. Both these attacks are good, both these attacks are useful, and in a format where Raichu GX is a genuinely legit deck, then this surely has some use. But there are just major downsides to either of this attack, which really do bring down my opinion of this a little bit. I am going to give this free Wassies though, because this is a nice tech card. This is a kind of card that you put into your binder, because sooner or later you're probably going to end up popping it into a Raichu deck. But it's not a card that you look at and go, oh my goodness, yes, This is going in every build of Raichu I ever make, and for that reason we're stuck at 3 Wassies. But if you disagree with me, ladies and gentlemen, well, I would love to hear from you lovely people. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this? Do you think it'll see play in Raichu Go Nuts? But be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Wossie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, I think you should. There's a new one going up today. Head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. That's where you can find that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.